What's up guys, Yasukeh here. So Neace has finally hit Master Tier on Korea after spending the better part of 1,400 games in Plat. And Neace has used this as a victory lap to say that everything the haters have ever said about him is wrong, and that nothing ever said negatively towards him is justified, and that he's expecting apologies from everybody about everything. The problem is that this Korea climb that he's on right now has nothing to do with the allegations that were brought up that made people lose respect for Neace. It doesn't matter what rank Neace has hit on Korea, because it's completely irrelevant to the things that people don't like about Neace. Which is, ultimately, that he's somebody who has absolutely no relationship with the truth, who is willing to lie about anything and everything, depending on whatever is convenient at the time, in order to further try to bolster his career, even if it's in a fraudulent way. The biggest problem that people had with Neace is that he pretended and claimed to be a multi-role, multi-season NA challenger player several times for years. And that was the main credential that he gave for why people should buy his coaching. Whenever anybody said, hey, your coaching sucks, he would say, I'm a multi-role, multi-season NA challenger, suck it. Problem is, that is just literally fraud. He was advertising the biggest part of his business as something that wasn't true. And that's just one aspect of it, in that not only was Neace lying about his credentials, but he also just had a personality where he would just constantly attack everybody in sight, even people who never talked about him. And so it only makes sense why he would have so much of a blowback when he would just constantly attack everybody else for no reason. And one thing that I've kind of noticed is that a lot of his YouTube audience wouldn't even really understand that, because a lot of this stuff has just been sort of confined to Twitter, with him just constantly attacking people, which we'll go over all of that later. But just examples of how he has no relationship to the truth is just right here on something that doesn't actually matter. Like, it's one thing to lie about credentials that could make you more money. It's another thing to lie about things that actually just don't matter at all. So this is Neace after he wanted to sort of like angry spree when somebody said, hey, anybody else unblocked by Thorin? Because Thorin went on an unblocking spree. He says, hey, I got unblocked too. Now I can actually go unfollow him. The problem is that when you get blocked by somebody, it automatically unfollows you. So he just wanted the clout of being able to say, hey, I'm blocking Thorin. Even when, or I can unfollow Thorin. Even when he was already unfollowed, because that's just how blocking works. And if you notice one thing, if you follow any of my content or my Tryndamere gameplay, is that he's using exactly what my build is. And this is a build that, like, I created and pretty much I only use. I'm pretty much the only high elo player that actually uses this build. And Neace went from Plat 1 stuck on this account to Masters in a week as soon as he started using my build. He was stuck. Second he used my build, he started climbing. And that's fine. He doesn't need to credit me for builds. I don't care about credit. It's not inherently wrong that he's using my build. I think my build is great on Tryndamere, so you should have every right to use it, and I think that it is great. Just here's an example of, in November of last year, me using the Hydra Essence Reaper Eclipse build, which is the build that gave him success. And here is my build video from January. The build that made me get to D1 in Korea with 140 ping, 70% win rate while disconnecting every game, with plus 13 gains. That build. The problem isn't that he's using my build. The problem is that he's meaninglessly lying about it. So right here, he's responding to a comment on the video that he made of a YouTube video about the build. Somebody said, glad you're enjoying the Yasukeh's build, because it's known as my build. Good to see other Tryndameres pick it up and have success. Most Tryndamere builds are the same all of the time that complain about Trynd being bad. And then Neace's response to this is, as much as I'd like to credit a dude who e-stocked me for months, I don't actually know or care about his build. I just tried everything, and then after they changed Eclipse, I ran tests on it. If he's using it, it's cool, though. It's the best Tryndamere build right now. The problem is not that he's not giving credit or something. The problem is he's saying that he came up with this completely on his own, and that he had explicitly tested things like Eclipse, and that this is just kind of the thing that he naturally came to, too. The problem is that if you look at his OPGG, no such testing occurred. He went from running Gale Force builds, Stridebreaker builds, etc., and there's no testing that actually took place with Eclipse, no Hydra Essence Reaver, because I would run Hydra Essence Reaver into, like, Kraken, sometimes Stridebreaker, like, all of these different things. It's not that he's using my build and this is what made him climb, which, I mean, you're welcome, Neace, for coming up with such a great build. Like, if my build insights can get Neace the Masters, like, what else can it do? I'm a miracle worker. It's fundamentally not about him using my build, it's that he is pretending like he did not come up with it from watching me, and such a meaningless thing to lie about. There's a lot of proof that Neace has watched my content and does watch my content in the past. He's tried my mid-Tryndamere invades, he's tried my builds, he's tried different strategies that I have made content on, and the same day, Neace will do that hyper-specific thing, like my top proxy strats. Like, I'm not going to play the video, but here's an example of Neace trying my jungle invade, where, see it right here, he's not really understanding it fundamentally. There's just so many things that are going wrong with this. It's playing really passive. And then, as soon as this happens...
The fuck out of it? Why? Why are you spam pinging it? I can't fucking stand them, dude.
I'm not going to play more, because Neace has said recently that he wants to copy strike anybody who puts out his content, Nor. He was talking about, right after he hit Masters, he was talking about how LS, somebody in his chat brought up that LS watched his video on stream, and Neace said, copy strike that fool. Like, Twitch will take it down. Twitch will give him a copy strike. So he's still doing that, even though he said months ago that he wouldn't be doing that anymore. And that's just another thing, is that those are false DMCA claims. That 5-second clip that I just played there is fair use. And Neace would probably try to copyright strike that, or copyright strike somebody who's watching a 30-second clip of his video. And that is a false use of DMCA to expressly try to attack somebody else. And that was a big thing that people didn't respect him for, is that people in the content creation space really don't like false copyright strikes and think that they are the most scummy practice, that there's a reason that nobody does it unless you're a massive, big, faceless corporation. Those are the only people who really do it, because if you falsely copyright strike somebody who's a little bit critical of you, you in every other aspect of this sort of online content creation community, you just instantly lose all respect. And so, not only is he just lying about how Twitter works, lying about where he got this build from, which I don't want the credit, but he's still lying about where he got it from. Lying about, or falsely using DMCA strikes. Ultimately, it just doesn't matter what his rank is, because the rank that he hits on Korea doesn't actually have anything to do with these allegations. Even yesterday, or even a couple days ago, Neace was claiming that he hit Season 7 and Season 9 NA Challenger. But if you look at tweets, once again, if you look at tweets from 2017, he, in this tweet, he admits that he had never hit NA Challenger and that he would try again next year. So it's just very basic things that are just, like, he's not a good liar. And that's the thing that people kind of get irritated about, is that even when he's getting completely exposed for having lied about things, he will still cling to it. And just a couple examples of, somebody might say, hey, his Season 9 Challenger is a little bit ambiguous, like, who really knows? Even though there's just 100% solid concrete proof. And, you know, he hit Challenger in Season 7 on Latin America North. Therefore, it's like, it's not technically true. In this tweet, the one where he posted the fake screenshot, In the tweet thread, he said that he never once bragged about NA Challenger. Problem is, the LAN backpack that he brags about is from NA Challenger, so that's not necessarily true either. It's just fundamentally, you'll see a pattern here of Neace having no relationship or care about the truth. It doesn't fit. And another thing in this tweet here is just saying that he's constantly trying to change the framing about his honesty and saying the results of his Korean climb can prove the allegations wrong. If you sort of try to understand that, it's that Neace never talks when he brings up all of the things that people are saying about him. He never actually talks about the things that people really care about, the things that actually make people not respect him, which is the fake burner accounts flaming other people, calling them pedophiles. The fake challenger. Like, he doesn't actually address these things that people really care about. And so, with that, his YouTube audience that will only watch his content will think that the kind of ambiguous reasons about, like, oh, Neace's pricing is big and that's why everybody hates him. His YouTube audience still thinks that those are the only reasons that people hate Neace. So that when they see the kind of reaction that Neace has been getting, Neace's audience will see, hey, this is really unjustified. Like, he's just a guy who has high prices. Who cares? Why is he getting all of this flame? And that has been a success on Neace's angle, is that he's been able to kind of brush under the rug the real allegations and make people think that this Korean climb actually has anything to do with it. And if he gets successful on Korea, which he finally did, that this proved everything wrong and that nothing that people said was accurate. And that's just completely wrong framing. It's just all about what his word is. If you go back to the original stuff, my claim, so I didn't like that people were critiquing Neace for reasons that I found to be invalid. I don't think that there was anything wrong with the price that Neace gave. I never said that the price was wrong. The problem is that he was selling his coaching under false pretenses, making his customers think that he was a NA challenger even though he wasn't. And that is the problem, is just it's ultimately fraud. And that is an allegation that even if he hit rank 1 Korea, even if he hits Challenger Korea, it still doesn't change the fact that he lied about hitting NA Challenger in the past. Like, no matter what skill he gets to, those are two completely different things. There are the low elo allegations, and there is the honesty allegations. The Korean climb can get rid of the low elo allegations, it can't get rid of the honesty allegations. Even then, we'll go over this later, but is Masters Korea even really high elo anymore? Neace has already hit higher than that in Korea before, which we'll go over. But yeah, it's just all about this sort of honesty level. Never bragged about NA Challenger. And then, once again, when I made those first original allegations, Neace posted that fake Challenger screenshot, as you see here, which is italicized. It's just a bad Photoshop job. And found LP logs that show that this account never hit it. And there's some interesting stuff that we'll go over of a fan of Neace. A couple years ago, in fact, actually said that Neace didn't be honest about his rank in the past. So, speaking of alternate accounts that Neace has had, we're going to be going over this Neace alt that he kind of leaked himself by posting on Twitter. The problem is, or the fundamental thing about Neace alts, when Neace ever addresses this, he says, there's nothing that I said on that OK Detective 321 account that he leaked on stream. He leaked a Reddit account alt on stream, where it was him defending himself on Twitter, pretending to be a fan. He would say things like, I watch Neace all the time and he gets all of these coachings and anybody who can't afford him is poor. And Neace's response to this is saying that, was there anything that I said that was wrong? I'm saying the exact same things on stream right now, so it doesn't matter. The problem is that's not true. He's not saying the same things because on that OK Detective 321 account, it's not it's not a lurker account that Neace is just happening to post as Neace on in another account. The problem is that he was pretending to not be Neace. He was pretending to be a fan of Neace who would be watching him. And, like, it doesn't matter what the actual points say. It doesn't matter if all of the points were valid. It matters that he was pretending to be not him, explicitly. And there's this Neace alt right here, which my viewers found as this was one of the sort of original flame and back and forth that me and him had. There's a lot more before, which we can get into. But Neace posted this screenshot on his Twitter, where it's my comments that was flaming Neace, and this comments from an account called Fano3. And comments from Fano3 says, I've seen you talking bad about Neace multiple times now, which is weird. I literally watched him pass you and make Challenger with 1/10 of the Trynd games played on his stream. Even if his build isn't optimal, he's a multi-Challenger player on multiple roles. I'd trust his judgment over a literal one trick that couldn't pass him in 2K games played. WTF, man. So, you look at the thread where this actually happens, and I found it. The rest of the account is not deleted, so we can get into a lot of juice there. But if you look in the thread, a couple things is that, one is that sort of comparison of Neace climb to my climb is something that only Neace really kind of knows about. It's not something that his fans are aware of. If you look at the deleted comments, I believe that this one was him saying Neace has been Challenger all of these times and saying this is still a falsehood. All of this right here is that he's claiming things that he didn't actually hit. He claimed Season 10 Challenger at this point when it was Land Challenger. This comment, according to my response, it seems like he was talking about the Challenger backpacks, which weren't given away for several seasons. And at this point, I didn't know that Neace had never hit NA Challenger. And this comment looks like it was Neace flaming my rank. And this is when I was rank 150 on NA. But I had given a massive, massive dip because of just reasons. It doesn't really matter. And there's this comment that I saw and I upvoted it at the time, but I didn't really actually think about it. And this is a comment from a Neace fan. Let's look at this, right? Let me preface to say that I'm a Neace fan and I watch his YouTube content. However, he does exaggerate his rank accomplishments. That was always my gripe with him. The highest he ascended to was around 430 LP, or thereabouts, last season, Season 9, and that was with a Challenger duo. He called himself Challenger last season or so when he got Challenger in LAN, which doesn't count. I think he proudly proclaims himself to be Challenger from a marketing perspective, which is fine. My gripe with him is that he really believes he's of Challenger caliber when he isn't. I just want him to actually hit Challenger before he makes that claim. I believe he can get there, but just do it on the actual road to climb to Challenger for once. He dodges a lot and asks people to dodge, which is fine, but it's a pretty big factor behind his steady climb when Fog doesn't dodge and is still much higher ranked regardless. Anyway, I believe Yasukeh is better solely on Trynd because he doesn't duo and doesn't dodge like Neace does every chance he gets. So that's important in context, is that this is March of last year, I believe, before any sort of, or 2 years ago, in 2021. March of 2021. There is this Neace fan who has clearly kept up with him very well, who even him still says that Neace has never hit NA Challenger, which I kind of just glossed over at the time and didn't really understand how big of a deal that was. And then, yeah, that about sums it up. So, if you might be thinking, oh, hey, there's not really solid proof of this Fano3 account being a Neace account. And so, we'll go over into a couple other things with this Fano3 account. So, first off, if you look in 4 years ago, about the time that Neace was in Fortnite, if you look at about when Neace was in Fortnite, right? There are posts in the Fortnite subreddits talking about that, which that's just one thing, but if you add up all of the things, there's no way that Fano 3 is not Neace. So, you look into Fortnite competitive, and then there's this one comment right here, 2 years ago. Trump golfed more than any president in history and has never read a book, you moron. So, if you look at Neace's old account, back when he went by Neace, he had this Reddit account, where you think, this politics posting of just Neace being an anti-Trump person. On his main account, when the 45th president or whatever got elected, he said, in the r/politics thread on Reddit, he said, "Welp, at least I'm a straight white guy." Which is more or less just an anti-Trump post, which, regardless of what it is, it's just showing that there is congruency between the beliefs of the two accounts. And the timelines match up perfectly. And there's a couple other things, is that, one, he posted this to his Twitter, and then two, all of the wording is exactly the same of how Neace would speak. And then there's also several times where certain things like this happen, right? And so I'll go through this comment thread, right? He says, somebody says, Neace bad. Neace says, I'm good. The reply says, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then the Fano3 account replies to the guy who replied to Neace, saying, lol, you are lucky he replied at all. And he's right, by the way. OS Challenger to NA. Even if Challenger is the worst major reason, OS is never close. Donnell literally coached Neace on Heckrim and credited Neace without teaching a ton about the game at the end of the video. This guy is the #1 coach for a reason, dude. It's not even close. The demand speaks for himself. These are all like points that he's brought up. D3 NA is easily Challenger OCE. I saw Neace make Challenger in a month. It took him 5x that on an A. These are all things that Neace was later found to be saying with the exact same arguments. And Neace wasn't making these anti-broken by concept, anti-Coach Curtis. If you don't know, there are some Oceanic coaches that make a podcast called Broken by Concept, who had like a 3-hour video dissecting why Neace is low elo and like what sort of negative habits he's giving to the community. And these were not points that Neace would make. He did not make public accusations against these players until much later than 12 months ago. So this account was making Neace talking points before Neace was saying them. And it follows Neace wherever he goes. Same thing with calling Vygar V2 a pedophile. Has several comments over here just replying to things. When people are saying, Neace bad, Vygar V2 good. As a coach, his accusation on the Fano3 account is just to call Vygar V2 a pedophile, which is things that he was saying before. Then there's other things like this, right? Where, yep, once again, Neace makes a comment on like random different subreddits. But this guy follows Neace wherever he goes. Instantly, right afterwards, 4 years. 4 years. Where he's replying to comments that reply to Neace. And this is the last comment on this burner from 7 months ago about esports, some coach flaming other teams. Neace's comment, Neace was right about this sub. How is this allowed content? Because that's exactly also another talking point that Neace has had. The point is that these burners are something that people just don't respect Neace for. And it doesn't matter what rank Korea Neace is. This doesn't change the fact that he constantly posts on burners, flaming me, flaming Vygar V2, flaming LS, flaming everybody. Like that's just what Neace does because he's just a petty weird person. Like it's very simple to understand. And the problem is that in a framing tool, Neace never talks about these things that people actually don't like him for, so that his fans and even his haters, even a lot of people who don't like Neace, still think that he hit Masters in Korea, therefore it's legit. And so you just go over all of this, and it just kind of shows. So one other thing to look at is, hey, the one proof that Neace brings up all of the time for, hey, I am a challenger player, and here's my drop-dead evidence proof that he still brings up daily, right? Is these tweets from Adrian Riven when it came to this whole drama stuff, right? Adrian Riven said that, hey, I've seen Neace in challenger games. Therefore, Neace uses this as proof of being challenger. Problem is a couple things. One is that testimonial is the lowest form of evidence in a court of law. The LP records, the scouring through social media feeds, all of the proof that is physical and real says that Neace has never hit challenger. The only proof that he has is the hazy memory of a challenger player who played against Neace in high elo. The problem is that if you don't know how high elo works, a challenger player will regularly play with players even as low as D1. I have had many times where I've played against Adrian Riven even when I was just in GM, because that's just how rank works, especially in NA, and especially on times where people aren't playing a lot. You, as a challenger player, like Adrian Riven is, you will not often play with challenger players all the time. As a Grandmasters player, you will always be playing with challenger players. Very, very often. And so, he first said, I remember Neace being challenger back then too. And then, after reply to me, he backpedaled a little bit. And this is his final statement on the case. All I can say is that I remember him in my challenger games for years. And that doesn't go against anything that anybody has ever said. Nobody has ever argued that Neace wasn't playing in high elo games. The problem is that he was never a challenger player. He could even have been challenger MMR. I personally think that Neace, when he got from like 30 LP away from challenger, if he kept playing and kept tryharding, he would have hit challenger. I do think that Neace would have been able to get into challenger. It's not the problem of whether or not he could. The problem is that he didn't and that he lied about it. So, you also go over into just kind of basic things like this, is that Neace making this gloating video, and he's pulling up this OPGG of, oh, hey, everything that I've ever said of saying that he's not a challenger player, it's all, oh, let me randomly pull up an account of Yasukeh. Oh, he's not that high elo, therefore everything he said is wrong. Like, makes a fake posture and then uses my background and everything to try to do some kind of meme where he's just saying I'm bad. Thing is that, like, if you look at my account, it's very clear that this is not a main account. This account doesn't have games for days, and, like, this is an account that it was abandoned, which most people just abandon accounts right now. I'm not actively playing on this account. And Neace used this as accusing me of being a Masters 6 LP player. Problem is that, like, it's just proof that there's no curiosity there. That it's taking the first thing that he sees when he searches up that agrees with his opinion and then just taking that as valid. It's not actually trying to be intellectually honest to say, this account doesn't look like it's played on that much, it has less than 200 games, or... Yeah, it has less than 200 games, so it's not even plateaued yet. So, this account that isn't played on, this might not be his main. That's what an honest person would be thinking, is that, hey, this is not his main. And just the biggest thing to understand is that, looking at timelines here, all of the accusations that Neace says that people are making about him right now, the ones that don't actually matter, were all brought up from, like, March or April to October. And it wasn't until this October, when I brought up that he had never been challenger, that people actually started losing respect, and people started finding out the burner accounts, finding this, finding that. Like, none of these other things actually matter. And so to go into another point, which is going back to the challenger, or I'm sorry, going back to the Masters on Korea, what does this actually mean? Because Masters on Korea sounds like a super, super impressive thing. The problem is, like, this needs to be taken into context. One thing about just basic context to be taking it into, right, is if you look at his... If you look at this, the video where he announced that he hit Masters, he says, Neace beat Tyler 1 for fastest climb to Masters in the hardest server in the world. just on basic context, the problem with this is, the reason why this is such a dishonest framing is that Neace did this after Smurf Q was removed, and after they increased the LP gains by 50%. If you regulate the math behind these, Tyler 1's climb is more impressive. Even discounting Smurf Q. Smurf Q lowers your win rate dramatically. And Neace did not have to play through Smurf Q, and Neace played when gains were infinitely more increased. When accounts are so much easier to get higher, and it's just not an honest way of actually framing the conversation. And so, couple things. With Korean Masters, let's actually look at what Korean Masters actually means. Because in 2017, right? In 2017, Neace went to Korea, played about 400 games in a month, and he got to Diamond 1 promos. And so you might be thinking, hey, in 2017 he got to Diamond 1 promos, now he's gotten to Masters, he's clearly gotten to a higher rank. The problem is that a lot of people can't take into context ranked inflation. A way that I would say this is that my brother in Season 3 hit Diamond 1 99 something LP. And Diamond 1 99 LP was basically Challenger, because there were 50 slots in Challenger, and there was no Masters, there was no nothing. So if you were Diamond 1 99 LP, like you are what would be considered Challenger today. And so you need to take into account what ranks actually are. The example that I always give with me is that when I hit Masters in Season 8, Masters was top 1,000, which means that it's GM now. And so, like, Masters in Season 8 is a super, super legit accomplishment, whereas now it's not really, which is something we'll get into. So, this is 2017, a couple months after the season started, same time frame that we're in right now in the same year, of how many Masters players are on Korea in 2017. Masters Plus players, right? If we go all of the way to look at what Masters players look like, there are, in 2017, at the same month that we're at right now, in March, 921 players in Masters Plus. If you look right now on Korea, there are 7,451 accounts in Masters Plus. The inflation of ranks is so much that the amount of players in Masters Plus is 8 times what it was before. This Korean climb where Neace hits Masters is not even Neace's most impressive climb in Korea. When he hit Diamond 1 in Korea, he was a better proportion of the player base than he is now. So, like, even if his rank did matter, Masters in Korea is not something that is as good as has been made to have been in people's minds for years. Because people don't ever take into account ranked inflation. When double or triple the amount of people from Season 8 to Season 9, it went from 1,000 players Masters Plus to 3,000 or 4,000 players Masters Plus. The inflation is crazy, and when Neace brings up, hey, this player got stuck in D1. This pro player got stuck in D1. I've beaten this pro player. Or Yamakaze got stuck in D1. That D1 is not the same as the D1 in the past. Like, Diamond 1 5 years ago is actually a legit thing that people think, oh, hey, you're high Diamond 1? That's really legit. Whereas now Diamond 1 is nothing. Like, you used to be able to say, I'm high Diamond 1, because there was a differential between high and low Diamond 1. Whereas now, like, there is no difference because of how much ranked is inflated. So, even within that context, like, this climb isn't really particularly impressive. Especially when I went from Plat 3 to Diamond 1 on Korea, about the same MMR that Neace is, in less than 150 games with a 70% win rate, while disconnecting every game on 140 ping. And my experience on Korea is that Korean Diamond isn't significantly better than NA Diamond, especially if you have playstyles that sort of match it. And so, even if the ranked mattered, it doesn't. But also, the rank isn't what people actually critique Neace for. And this problem of framing in that most people, when they talk about the issues of Neace, it's been confined to places like Twitter and like Twitch streams. It's not really something that I understand why Neace fans think that he's getting a lot of unjustified hate, because if you only listen to Neace, it doesn't make sense from a Neace viewer's angle why he's getting so much hate. But ultimately, it's because he has no relationship with the truth, and he constantly attacks people on Twitter for no reason, for people that don't attack him. Like, why is this Tyler 1 video it's trying to bring Tyler 1 and his climb down, and he has a lot of other TikToks and shorts where he's just trying to say, oh, like, Tyler 1, like, nah, he ain't anything, you know? Like, of course he should get this because blah, 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 blah. Like, why are these videos where Neace is having tons of success where he's trying to just bring other people down for no reason? It doesn't make any sense, and this is something that he's been doing for years. He would subtweet me for years whenever anybody posted a piece of content about me. He would say, there's some really bad Tryndamere mid builds coming out there. Like, not even adding me or anything, just subtweeting and just kind of having that subtle flame there. My first interaction with Neace, before I ever talked about him, like, if you want to take into account, like, why I have this kind of viewpoint, the first interaction that I had with Neace was him lying about me and my ranked accomplishments to his viewers because he was jealous of the amount of attention that I was getting. And so if I can say a Kendrick Lamar quote, don't tell a lie on me, I won't tell the truth about you. He lies about my rank, said that I had never been above Masters before, ever, when I was actively 400 LP at the time, and he knew that. Like, it was very provable that he knew that that was the case, and he still chose to lie about me, when there's just no reason to. That's the problem, is that it's not just that he lies about Challenger, he lies about everything, no matter what, and there's no actual relationship with the truth. And so, my first interaction with him is him lying about me, and if you want to go into LS, right? LS hung out with Neace in Korea, like, 2017 or something, and then never really talked to him again, aside from, like, a couple DMs. And Neace on Twitter, if you're a YouTube frog, you might not understand this. Neace on Twitter was constantly attacking and bashing Neace for several years, since, like, beginning of 2020 at least, where he was bashing Neace and trying to sort of goad a response out of him. And LS never responded. The few times that LS ever talked about Neace, he was saying that his coaching prices are fine. He was the only person who was actually defending that aspect before the fake Challenger came out. So LS never talked anything bad about Neace at the time, and Neace was just constantly attacking him. And the reason why I speculate that LS wasn't responding to any of the criticism from Neace was that LS knew that Neace was trying to do this for attention, to try to, like, go to a response so that more people would have eyes on Neace. Because Neace watches every single thing that's ever said about him, which is, like, I can very easily verify that. He's watched every single video that I've ever made, even if it's only tangentially related to him, or, like, my Korean climb. He's very bad at lying about that. So, LS didn't want to respond to him because he knew that Neace was using this as a clout-chasing tool. And then the second that Neace made a Neace LS Forest Within, Neace had this podcast where he brought up the Neace situation after, like, the fake Challenger stuff had come out, and was the most positive person you could possibly have been in that situation. Like, Forest Within was saying things about Neace that LS didn't really agree with, so he was pushing back on that and defending him, and giving Neace his sort of, like, fair credence. And this was a fair, as neutral as you could get about talking about Neace after everything had blown up. And Neace used this as an opportunity to say, hey, like, why are you guys saying this? Why are you guys attacking me? Invite me on your podcast. Which is exactly the thing that LS would have not wanted to talk to him about, because he knew that Neace was using it for clout chasing, and the second that LS talked about him, Neace proved it. And it's it's just very easy to see these kind of things happen. And yeah, like, it's not about Neace's rank. Neace's rank will never matter. It is about the fact that he's a habitual liar who lies about every single thing in his life. Knows dying. This scene right here, good example.
You were born. Has there ever been a point where you've actually told the truth?
Yeah, no. From the moment Neace has been born, like, he's never had an actually good relationship with the truth. And that's what people don't like him. That's why people don't like him. And it has nothing to do with whether or not he actually was Challenger. It's about whether or not he lied about it. Like, these are very two distinct things. And so, ultimately, I'm making this video so that whenever anybody asks me about Neace and the whole Neace thing, I can link back to this so that I don't have to talk about this anymore, because I don't want to talk about this anymore. So I have all of my thoughts here so that you guys can refer back to this about everything that's going on. So thank you guys all for watching. See you guys in the next video. I hope that I don't have to talk about this again, because it's just not a good headspace to talk about people who are just perpetually lying about everything. And yeah, you're welcome for my build, Neace, and you're welcome for my mid-Tryndamere content that you enjoy so much. And I will see you talk trash about me on more alt accounts. Guys, I want to say goodbye and good night. Yeet!